Hello, Collective. Welcome to my channel, Divine Nudges. This message is for the members of the spiritual community who see themselves as the chosen, the light workers, and the healers. I invite you to gather around the fire with me to take a moment of self-reflection on how far you've come on your journey. There is a quote I've seen that says, "In order to love yourself, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you." And that's what I'd like to reflect on today. I remember the first time I saw that quote. It made me think about all the times I was hurt, feeling weak and confused, especially when I realized that the people closest to us can cause us the most harm. Sometimes it's the ones you'd never expect. And as if that wasn't tough enough, there were also the painful experiences from strangers like coworkers, bosses, or people we just happened to meet. Those are the ones you can't even begin to make sense of because they often feel unprovoked. But later, I came across another quote that helped me understand. Some people will never like you because your spirit irritates their demons. As you listen to this, you might think back to some of your own painful experiences. While they might be different for each of us, the result is often the same. A lasting memory of how our self-esteem took a hit and how our self-worth started to mirror those difficult experiences. I realized that those painful experiences led me to making decisions that only made the pain worse. Even though some of those things happened in the past, I was still holding on to them in a way that kept their power over me relevant. I saw that my hate for those experiences was like a hook that kept me attached to them. And by holding on to the pain, I was giving it continuous access to my life. Although those memories were just echoes in my mind, they trapped me in a cycle of being in an unhealthy relationship with myself that became the example for the other relationships in my life. The pain became like a frequency that attracted more painful experiences. The people and places changed, but the experiences stayed the same until I decided to change. Many of you who are drawn to this message can relate. There is an African proverb that says, "A child who is not loved by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth." And so began the purification process incited by the proverbial inner child. By choosing not to hate the experiences that shaped you, you took your power back from them. You learned to put them in the right perspective. First, many of those experiences were beyond your control. They happened because you couldn't control anyone else, and how others treated you often reflected their own inner struggles. When two internal worlds collide, yours and theirs, a third one is formed, and the power dynamic depends on whose will is stronger. In many of those situations, you were the weaker one because that's what they were designed to do. Create an environment where their survival relied on your weakness, despair, lack of self-trust, and need for their validation. As a result, the world you tried to build outside of those situations was based on the emptiness created within you by those experiences. When you began to realize that the monsters that haunted you for so long were a lot smaller than you had originally thought them to be, they lost their grip on you. Those monsters came from a place of fear, weakness, and insecurity. all of which are low frequencies that put people at a disadvantage, making them act out of survival mode. But those negative frequencies can't exist in a space filled with love, self-empowerment, confidence, and spiritual strength. And the more you reflected on the experiences that shaped you, the more you realized that those frequencies were what kept you alive. You reclaimed your energy from all the worlds created by those intense clashes with others, and you began to build a new world for yourself from a place of wholeness. You realized that those worlds were created by others to allow lower vibrations to exist, using you as the energy source needed to sustain them. But when you recognized that as a prisoner in those worlds, you had survived and not withered away, you also saw that hating those experiences took away from the strength you showed each time you put yourself back together after being torn apart. You began to focus on your ability to regenerate, and in doing so, you became proud of how everything meant to destroy you failed because of your conviction. You could have given into self-destructive behaviors and formed unhealthy attachments that reinforced the lack of self-worth negative experiences were meant to create. You could have allowed those experiences to change you. You could have believed all the hurtful things you were made to feel and chosen to live in lower vibrational energies. And if you're honest, for a while, you did. But when you stopped hating those experiences, you started loving yourself. That was the trade-off. It was the only way to free yourself from the pain and trauma. Love is the opposite of hate, so it's the balancing force needed to neutralize its power. It's not that love didn't exist within you. It's just that it was directed outwardly in a way that made it vulnerable to misuse. Some experiences are darker and more painful than others. And the more painful they are, the more likely they are to trap us for our entire lives. Choosing not to hate the experiences that shaped you doesn't mean you're saying they didn't matter, or that they weren't unjust, or that they should be forgotten. It means you refused to be controlled by them. The only way to be freed from those experiences is to honor and respect the part of yourself that fought to keep you intact through the blinding darkness. To hate those experiences, you must accept a vibration of hate and agree to stay in that low frequency. Those experiences are designed to keep you stuck in negativity. By hating them, you risk becoming them, believing that the world deserves to feel your pain and acting in ways that cause it. But when you chose to see those experiences as character-building lessons meant to trap you in feelings of lack, you took control of their meaning. And by defining them, you took away their power to define you. When you defined those experiences, you became aware of how powerful you really are. You awakened to the understanding that even though some of those experiences were out of your control, you still get to choose how they shape you. You weren't fooled into thinking that just because you couldn't stop them while they were happening, you don't have the power to decide who you are and how you show up in the world. And for the experiences you chose for yourself that weren't favorable, perhaps because you were operating from a space of a self-deficit, a self-love deficit, you integrated with your shadow as an act of self-kindness. understanding that it created a reality in which you could survive based on how you were equipped to navigate the world. Your shadow helped you survive long enough to develop the ability to thrive. So you honored it, showed it gratitude, and you even told it to rest so that your light can do some of the heavy lifting for a change. But if you're smart, you told it to stay close by, remaining prepared for battle at a moment's notice. Because your wisdom carries within it the knowledge that encompassing the light and the shadow allows you to walk between worlds. You have made manifest the existence of high vibrational shadows. Yeah, I said it. Your demons are uppity. You are now the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, and the love that dominates hate. You are now the spiritual warrior that wishes a low vibrational energy would. Because a little sparring ain't ever hurt nobody. As a spiritual warrior, your experiences shaped you, much like the training undergone by national defense factions in preparation for various scenarios. Special forces training includes underwater demolition, high altitude parachuting, and close quarters combat. Ranger school training includes long marches with heavy loads, sleep deprivation, and complex tactical exercises. An infamous component of Navy SEAL training is called Hell Week. Those programs are designed to test and push individuals to their limits, ensuring they can handle extreme conditions and high-stress situations effectively. Do you get where I'm going, collective? To teach others, you first had to learn. To heal others, you first had to heal yourself. To become sensitive enough to tap into the subtle frequencies of the universe, you first had to crack your hard outer shell. And to protect the divine within you, you had to withstand extreme amounts of pressure. But although you know how to dim your light so that you can go undetected in the darkness, you await instruction from the divine, representing the light as a source of counterbalance and teaching others of its power. Chosen ones, light workers, healers, you are among the elite forces of the divine. Thank you for your service.